Avoidance is your enemy. Just because something is uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that you should run away from it or avoid it or reroute, change paths, go in a different direction. What you should do instead is to work on building up the areas that you're weak in so that you can be strong enough or more developed enough for it to not overpower you or for it to not take you out of the game. Okay? Have you ever heard the story about the dog that was injured? And if you really love dogs, I'm not trying to make you sad with this story. The story goes, and I think I first read or heard about this story in a yoga book, Restorative Yoga for Race-Based Trauma and Stress by Dr. Gail Parker. And there's a few really lovely parables in that book. And so one of the stories that she gives in the book, she gave a few, but one of the ones I'll tell you is about the one about the injured dog. The story goes like this. There was a dog that was injured. People was like, what's wrong with the dog? The man said, it's hurt. I might not be telling this all the way right, but rock with me on it. They was like, what's wrong with the dog? And the owner was like, the dog is hurt. He's lying on a nail. And they was like, well, why doesn't the dog get the nail out? Why doesn't the dog get off of the nail? And the owner says, because it'll hurt. But the sooner, the moral of the story though goes is that the sooner that the dog goes ahead and gets off of that nail, faces the initial discomfort of getting off the nail, then the sooner that the dog can heal and be okay. But in the story, the dog would rather just stay injured or paralyzed, stuck on the nail, just because it'll hurt to get it off. But the dog is already hurt. So it's like, go ahead and maybe you have to hurt a little bit more. But then after you get through that next jab of hurt, then you're going to actually end up being recovered. You're going to be able to scab, heal. Your immune system is going to be able to do its job. Your white blood cells are going to help heal you. But right now, you're putting your body into more stress and discomfort by being in a perpetual state of pain and open woundedness by keeping your wounds open and untreated. Okay? So when I say avoidance is your enemy, avoidance is you sticking around, staying on the nail. And when I say like about running away and things like that. So what made me think about this today was my legs were hurting. I did leg day in the gym today. It always gonna come back to a book, right? Or something at the gym or something like that. My legs hurt. I did leg day today and I remembered back in 2017 when I first started going to the gym, like for real going to the gym this time. I tried going to the gym years before. That's why I tell people, like, don't look at me and think that I was somebody who went to the gym and I just stuck. I tried for years, probably since 2006. Since 2006, I was trying to start exercising, but I just never stuck with it. I was one of those people who paid for a gym membership for at least a year, maybe 2 years. I used my tax money to pay for a 2-year membership at the gym, and I didn't even hardly go. I rarely went. It was really a mindset. So I'll tell you what my mind used to be, and what changed for me was in 2017. In the past, okay, I would go to the gym, and if I would do some exercise or something vigorous or really hard, it would be uncomfortable, it would hurt. And then my response to that discomfort was to run away, run as far and as fast as possible in the opposite direction. Not like literally or physically, but like my mind would just go elsewhere, anywhere else besides the gym. That was my old thought process. So then in 2017, what changed before my mind changed was my approach, my willingness to ask for help. I was okay. I was coming from a very beginner's approach, not beginners. I was ignorant. And in my ignorance, my ego wasn't what it was when I was in all the other attempts before then, where I wasn't necessarily asking for help and some of that not being willing to ask was due to my lack of trust in other people, right? Which was still a willingness thing, because you choose to not trust people, especially when they haven't given you a reason to not trust them. You kind of give them the same treatment that you give everybody the same treatment, which is I'm not going to trust anybody because I don't trust these people. The few people that don't deserve your trust, you're going to give everybody that same treatment. Okay, so 2017, I was coming out of that treatment, that way of being and thinking. So my mind did start to change first. Then I started to ask. So I started to ask for help. So this time I approached this woman at the gym, at the YMCA. Her name is Mary. I hope Mary's doing okay. If anybody watching this video who knows me, who lives in the town I live in, and who knows Mary, who used to teach at the YMCA, she used to teach body pump. She used to be a personal trainer. I don't know what she's doing now, but I hope she's okay. I talked to Mary, and I was like, when I squat, the front of my legs hurt, like right above my knees. It hurts. She was like, okay, so that means you need to do more squats. That means you're weak in that area. And so one of the best ways that's going to help with that is by doing more squats and making sure you keep a proper form when you do it. So don't just do squats just to do squats. Do the squats and do them right. That's going to build up your you're going to create more length. So she was like, the reason why you're having pain above your knee, so pretend this is my knee. Okay, and here's below my knee and here's above my knee, my thigh. She was like, when you're squatting, when you're doing this motion, you're creating a more length here that doesn't exist because you haven't trained your body that way, right? From being like this with the knee, top of the leg, bottom of the knee, to this is more length. It takes more elasticity right here. And I didn't have it. The only way to get it is to build it up. So she was like, if you practice squatting regularly, that pain is going to go away. Not that squats are going to get easier. They will, but but she was very honest with me. And so she was like, so do squats more and foam roll right there too, in that space just above your knee towards the bottom of your front of your thigh. Strengthen it up, build it up. And that's going to take away your pain. The pain is because you're weak in that area. There's nothing wrong with you. You just don't have the strength. You haven't developed yourself in that area. So the pain was showing me something that I had to work on. The discomfort was showing me, oh, this is the area you got to work on. But if I was coming to it from an approach full of ego, I might not have been willing to examine that part about myself because maybe in my ego, maybe I wasn't okay with facing areas that still needed to be worked on, But at this point, I was, in my career, in leadership, development, I was pouring into people. People were pouring into me. It was a good time. My mind was in that place. So the difference, like I said, old mind was discomfort equals run. New mind was discomfort equals curiosity equals, let me turn this over. Let me lean in. Let me mull it over. Let me see let me troubleshoot. Avoid pain, troubleshoot. Pain, what is it showing me? Pain, what do I need to work on and learn? What do I need to develop? Okay. So I stopped running away from the discomfort. I stopped avoiding things that seemed too challenging, too hard, too much. Okay? What did Luther Vandross say? Never too much. 1,000 kisses from you is never too much. I'm not a singer. But Luther Vandross said never too much. Never too many squats, never too many questions, never too many. He didn't say all of this. I'm saying, I'm applying the song to these circumstances. I'm gonna put never too much on my playlist for my next yoga class and let this be a lesson in my class. So I did make a little list of things that this could apply to. Let me put never too much on my paper. Okay, I'm left-handed. Inky pinky. Okay. So here's some things that I'm going to give you some examples of things that do you no good by sticking around on the nail. Okay. And when I say laying on the nail, I mean avoiding it, running away from it, or just doing nothing, sitting in it, those type of things. Okay. Here's some examples. If you have roaches, avoiding that is going to make the problem worse. Okay. If you have an illness, running away is not going to get rid of your illness. If you have bills to pay, avoiding your bills is not going to make your bills go away. You're going to end up with late fees. You're going to end up losing out on privileges, services, access. You're going to gain interest. Okay. You can't avoid the IRS. Okay. The IRS is going to get it. They're going to get it by hook or crook or back in blood. IRS is going to come. They're going to get what they came for. Avoiding it will only make what they, when they come, it'll only make them come and make them leave with more. They're going to take more with them when they leave if you make them come. If you avoid it and they got to come looking for you, oh, you're going to pay. Trauma. Okay? Avoiding trauma does not get rid of the trauma. All right? It prolongs it. It prolongs your suffering. Conflicts in relationships. I'm not talking about simply intimate partner relationships. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about family. I'm talking about work. I'm talking about at school. I'm talking about people who you have relationships with. All right? If there is something not going right, avoiding it will not make it go away. Okay? It will eventually bubble over and explode. And then you will find yourself arguing about toilet paper when the problem is really something else. It's more about being appreciated or being acknowledged or feeling like a part of a team or feeling accepted. It'll be about, something that really is like beneath the surface. You cannot avoid addiction. You cannot outrun addiction. Okay? And when I say addiction, whatever the first thing is that you think about, it's not even just that. Okay? People have lots of addictions. People are addicted to their phones. People are addicted to, substances. People are addicted to gambling. People are addicted to thrills. People are addicted to stimulation. Lots of addictions that exist out there. You cannot avoid injuries. All right. I'm in physical therapy right now for an injury on my ankle from November. This is February of 2025. You can have an injury, and if you don't face the injury is not going to just simply go away. You have to take care of it. So if you just ignore it or avoid it, it's going to call out to you for the rest of your life. And by way of that pain, because it never healed properly. You never fully recovered properly unless you take the steps of addressing it. Okay, school, that homework, them college applications and essays, them grants that you need to be applying for, those type of things. It doesn't just go away. Time passes. You might have to repeat classes and courses. You might not get the grades that you wanted to get. You might have to find yourself explaining away your grades or your degree or lack of degree some point down the line because maybe you just didn't follow through. Okay? So, and I could even add to the list like the things that you committed to. whether or not anybody else knows, it'll still come up in your mind. Whether you have to be accountable to anybody else on earth, you still have to be accountable to yourself. You still got to look yourself in the mirror every day. And either you're going to say, hey, buddy, as the words of Michelle Obama in The Light We Carry, or you're going to say, hey, which hey do you want? Hey, buddy. Or the hey of another day that I didn't do it. And at this point, it doesn't matter how many days has gone by, because today can be the day that you do what you said you was going to do. Today can be the day that you start facing things. It's never too late. It's never too late. But don't be so audacious that you think that time is on your side, because tomorrow's not promised. So whatever you're avoiding, just do it now. Just do it a little bit, a little by little, just to make a start on it. You'll be surprised at how probably the thing that you have avoided for so long, you thought it was so big, so expensive, so complicated, so tedious, so hard, so much work. And then by the time you do it and you get it done, you'll be like, wow, that was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. I can't believe I spent so much time avoiding it. So forgive yourself right now for all the times that you said tomorrow. Forgive yourself right now. Okay? And then when you're doing it and you start being hard on yourself, forgive yourself again. And then as you're going through and you start to doubt, oh, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Forgive yourself again. Do it every time. Okay? Even when it's done and you start to beat yourself up like, I can't believe I didn't. Forgive yourself again. Okay? Forgive yourself again. Okay? Because you're built, like what we talked about, like when you got to do those squats and stuff like that, that's not a one-time thing. It's not a one-time thing. So that's the developing part. So don't think that anything is just a one and done. Like this applies throughout different areas of your life. So you might master it in this area and find yourself challenged over here in this area and be like, man, I thought I had it. And forgive yourself again. I can't believe I'm in this predicament again. Forgive yourself again. Okay? Oh, I can't believe I let this get past me for so long. Forgive yourself again. Okay? Nobody is expecting you to be perfect. Don't even expect yourself to be perfect. None of this is about that. This is about bravery and courage. And people who is brave and courageous are not perfect people. They're just the people that is willing to develop the areas that they're weak in. No matter how many times they got to try, no matter how many times it takes, no matter how small pieces they have to break it up into in order to get it done, no matter how many ways they have to go about asking for help to get them there, to hold them accountable, to address their gaps in knowledge, their ignorance, so that they can get to it. That's the only difference. Okay? But in order for you to be like that, you have to be somebody who trains your mind to go from the old thinking pattern, which says run, to the new thinking pattern that says lean in. Okay? Every time that you find yourself, like feeling like you want to run away from something, I want you to be like, oh, that's something I need to build up. I need to work on. I need to develop those muscles, that strength, that stamina, that endurance, that thickness. I need to build it up. And so then the next part after that is to explore that thing, ask to question it down. You got to question it down. You hear me? Okay, why do I keep on doing this same thing? What's happening? What should I be doing? Okay, then what gets in the way of that? Okay, now what am I afraid of? And what's the worst case scenario? And 9 times out of 10, whatever the worst case scenario is, it won't happen. What am I holding on to? What am I clinging to? What am I afraid of? Okay. So this hurts because of that. this is scary because of that. Okay. And then you're going to find some really, you're going to come to you're going to have to be very honest. So sometimes you might have to have these conversations with yourself if you don't know if you can be honest enough if you have the conversation with somebody else. And that's something that you got to figure out, right? If it's something that's so hard that you can't be 100%, you can't be all the way honest with somebody, you might still say, ask me the questions. And then you'll answer as much as you can. But if you come to a point where you're holding back, rather than holding back, you might say, that's something that requires a level of honesty that I have not yet even, acknowledged within myself. I feel embarrassed. I feel ashamed to become so naked on that topic right now, on that question. And so then you might be honest, but you still have to answer it. So then on that question, it's like, okay, I got to do a voice. I would say either journal it or voice record it, because whichever one, I'm gonna recommend voice record or record yourself, because then you can just vibe in a state of consciousness, and then after you get it all out, blah blah blah, then I would say to journal it. That would be my recommendation. If you come up across something that you're like, that was a little bit deep of a question, I don't know if I can answer that and be all the way honest with you, because it might be a little bit shameful. There might be parts that is shameful and embarrassing to me. Now, also, if you are in the presence of somebody who you feel very safe talking to, then talk to them, and let them just actively listen, because it does help. Trust me, I know. I've been a hairstylist for over 20 something years. Okay. And so sometimes you come to the answers just by talking it out, letting somebody listen. It's necessary. So yeah, question it down, ask it all the questions. What is on the other side of this? If I can get through this, then what is on the other side of that? What level do I make it to in my own awareness, or my development, or my consciousness, or my relationship with myself? What does that unlock for me? Right? So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to encourage you to get off of the nail. Okay. Sometimes, I don't know, do y'all think that this is for you? Because it's for me too. I be processing in real time. So sometimes the things that I'm sharing are things that I've mastered. Sometimes things that I'm sharing are things that I thought I mastered, and I'm like, dang, it's coming up again. I thought I had that down. But here I am again. Come along with me, because I'm addressing it myself. Sometimes it's that. And today it's a little bit of both, personally. Today it's a little bit of both. There's things on my mind that keeps coming up, and I'm like, dang, like, why, Keena? Why ain't you facing that? I had a real, deep conversation with myself this morning in the shower. And, it was a conversation with myself. So it was just like, dang. But when I really faced and turned everything over, questioned it down, it was like, dang, Keena, the whole time you know what you need to do. So why ain't you doing it? Oh. You know what I'm saying? Like that girl who she's like, oh. Okay. Now I'm rambling. So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to wrap it up there. We're going to call this Avoidance is Your Enemy. Don't let your enemy defeat you. Go on and face it.